So I think most of the people have joined and others who will be joining will come with us. So good evening to one and all present here. We CSI-CRC are proud to present our event for today on My Story Motivational Session by Successful Innovators. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Mohit Maheshwari, who is going to introduce and give us a brief about how they became such a successful entrepreneur. Mr. Mohit Maheshwari is the director at Ingenious Technologies and Consulting. He has completed his MBA in 2007 from an IIT before pursuing further studies in America. He has over 15 years of experience with 25 digital projects. He has traveled across 16 countries and 5 continents during this time. He has spent 10 wonderful years at Local Agro and now is successfully heading his own company in Zug, supporting MNCs in AI and digital field. Sir, we gladly invite you to share your knowledge and guidance with us, which would really inspire, enlighten, and guide us all towards a successful future.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the good introduction. And first of all, thank you to have me present for this hour. So really appreciate it. It came quite in the last day. Then I said I always take the opportunity to connect. There are two things which are very dear to my heart. First is Mumbai. I'm also from, let me say, brought up in Mumbai, studied in Mumbai. So anyone contacting me in the area, especially college times, brings me back good memories. 2001, 2005 times. So I could not decline the invitation. And the second part was it came through quite a close network of someone associated with us, supporting us in the last couple of quarters. So I again said yes, I'll take the opportunity. So I think it's Ashwini also on the call at the moment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ah, Ashwini is there. Okay.
Warm welcome to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So no, thanks for the invitation again, and happy to connect with everyone, connect back. So I was thinking, what should I say? What should I say? Which should I say? All the cliche things, blah blah blah. Or just tell you how the journey has been. And Ashwini told me, hey, you don't have to prepare anything. Just walk through with what happened, and yeah, then I hope that there will be bits and pieces which might be interesting for you, and I hope that motivates uh, some of you. And I don't want it to be a monologue, so I hate that it's like Pope preaching and saying something. I really appreciate if you have questions, or if you want to share a certain perspective on something, like we can socialize it together in this 1 hour, so that it does not remain more monotonous, one-sided kind of a conversation. So I really invite you to toss around ideas, to share your perspective. Also, it's not important that yes, I'm speaking today, but it's very important that yeah, we keep it interactive. So I'll really appreciate if that's that's happening. So let me rudder back to 2001, 2005 time. So I did my electrical engineering from Sardar Patel Government College in electrical engineering. And I used to come to Bandra quite often, actually for almost 2 years, because I was associated that time with an NGO, which uh, uh, Akansha, if it is, if you guys know. So I used to teach the kids from the community from Bandra that time uh, in the church there, because we had that club place there and so on. So yeah, that was, let me say, pretty much in the same shoes like you guys are, parts of you are, and did my engineering, then I did my MBA, and then after MBA I started to travel the world. I had an opportunity with IBM that time, in the consulting part, doing transformations, and I started traveling the world. And my first engagements were in Southeast Asia. So I stayed there for 2 years in Indonesia, and then later in China, doing transformations there. And then later, at some point in time, I moved to the European part in Switzerland. That was 2008, and I've been in Switzerland. I am right now in Switzerland since the last 15 years, doing what I do, what I like to do most. That's transformation and all the digital tech consulting part of the story. So yeah, that's let me say a little bit starting like most of the stories start. You are with a big MNC. You have the opportunity to do this learn the latest and greatest technologies. You learn also culturally a lot, because when you are traveling, you are interacting with all these cultures, different languages, food, ways of living. And then at the end, you have different perspectives, and then you can choose, okay, I like this more, I like this less, and so on. So for me, something similar happened when I came to Switzerland for a project with IBM. And I loved the work anyways, and I loved the place, and I loved the culture around and the way of working. And that's where I stayed. So I said, I made some fundamental decisions. I said, okay, whatever happens, I'm going to keep Switzerland, because that's something I really appreciate together with the work I do. And I kept it. And unfortunately or fortunately, it was without IBM, because at some point in time, I did realize that yes, I really appreciate it. I got a big jump start with one of these companies like IBM, and for that matter, many of you will go through those journeys as you are starting your careers, and it's always good that you get that exposure that you start with. But at some point in time, there was, let me say, a little bit of a disconnect, not because I did not like IBM, or I did not like, say, for example, what they had done or given me. It's simply that I always thought that I'm just a drop in the ocean, and it was like that. It was more than 250,000 people company, and I was just a number in that, even if we are doing really, really good work. And then I also started to understand and appreciate what works in these big organizations, and you also see a lot what does not work in these big organizations. Okay, so what kind of always was staring at me was things that did not work, and I was never not always part of the projects which were super successful. In fact, my first projects and all the projects in my first years, which I used to do with IBM, were projects which were marked red. So the red project means people have given up a little bit hope on the project. Customers are tough. Solutions are not working. Management is saying, okay, more or less, this will be the project which we will eventually write off. Uh, and fortunately or unfortunately, I was the guy who was deputed in such projects, and said, okay, see what you can do. Uh, try to give it a shot. And that was for me a good opportunity. And how I saw things was, okay, at least we have a customer. At least things have not yet are not on a breaking point that we have closed the engagement. Oh, and yes, I did turn things around together with the help of the team. And that's where I learned the first most important lesson while doing these projects is, first of all, traveling educates, and second is, it's always your team. Okay, that makes it or breaks it. So by doing very small changes in team composition, in being out there, not sitting in a corporate office saying how things should be prophesized and done, we try to turn around quite some customer experiences. And that's something that I took away in my initial years, where, let me say, from a very fast running self approach to a team running approach, because with the team, when you run at a different speed. So when you have to run very fast, go alone, do what you have to do. But what makes, or what uh, really makes a difference at the end of the day is your team together. and you will always not be happy. Like somebody is working fast, somebody is thinking too much, somebody is let me say having a different perspective. But you will start to appreciate that everybody has that special thing, and that's why they're part of your team. And you have to learn to be a little bit more patient and to work with the good qualities of your team, that it all comes together. You're generally not dealing with people who are bad or intentionally bad when you're working with the team, but it might take time. But it's a lot of work that things work together. And those were some of my initial learnings in the first years. That okay, run fast if you want to set the pace. If you want to have success overall, then you should have you come with your team. Not that the team was not there, motivated, turn a few things. You don't need to turn around everything, yeah, all the time. Makes a lot of difference. Customers see through it, and the perspectives change. So yeah, those were the initial years and the learnings which I had from doing all these engagements in Southeast Asia. And yeah, we did turn around a few things which caught the eye of the management, and that's where, let me say, I got my next breaks to to Europe and to US. And yeah, before I go forward to the journey of switching from being an employee contributor to an, let me say, starting on my own, any questions, reflections from the group?
Yes, when you were in college, what advice would you give to yourself?
Yeah, when you're in college, the best advice I can give you is to take as all the opportunities you have out there, because I sometimes feel people, or at least my friends, and some of them were too narrow, and they were so sure about everything. Sometimes I used to be very surprised. So there were computer folks, electronics folks, they were like, I have to go to Google. It's like the other guys are saying, I have to do my MS. That there's no discussion about it. And some were saying, oh no, I have to do so and so, and it was so tacted, that this has to be like this, which is good, that you have a target in place. But sometimes you become so closed with that thought idea. You say, I don't want to do only AIML. Okay, anybody offering me transformer installation and this, okay, that's rubbish, and that's not so smart enough, I will not do it. But my learning or advice will be, keep yourself a little bit open. What is today the hot hype in 5 years may not be the hype. AI, for that all that matter, like I'm doing AI now for quite some years. We have our own patents as a company in AI. For all that matters is in 5 years, say all the data science work, it's fully automated. We don't need data scientists. What are you going to do? So my advice will be, yes, learn what is the latest trend, but keep yourself open. You should not find yourself 5 or 10 years down the line in a situation to say, oops, I don't know how to do other things because I never took the chance. It was there right in front of me. And I said, no, I don't want to look at it even. And don't be disheartened on the other side if you're doing something which is not the most talked about thing today. uh, when I was in engineering, I got two job offers, so that was a good year, in Mumbai at least. I got a job offer from Siemens to do their designing of transformers, motors, and the second job offer I got was from Infosys. So Infosys was offering me, okay, going to do and become a software engineer, and Siemens was offering me this. So I got two job offers on that. uh, and yeah, I was quite confused now, honestly, what to do and which one to take and so on. But reflecting back, I don't say one was better or the other was wrong. So that's one advice I give you: like, keep yourself open. And generally, if you follow the hype and trend, you will take a very risk averse approach, which is fine. But if you want to dare to do something different, you should be a little bit foresight looking and lucky, and things might turn around also on the other way. So that's what I'll give Ayush an advice to say: keep yourself a little bit more open, Because I find a lot of freshers coming to us and telling us, look, I want to do only machine learning. I want to do only Azure machine learning. I want to do only data engineering. I want to become this. And I say, fine, very good. And guess what? After they go through in my setup, the first thing I tell you, okay, now forget everything you have done. Now let's unlearn everything. I'm going to teach you commodities, how the financial market works. And then maybe in a month or so, when you have understood something about it, I'm going to ask, can you do something about this problem? This is where, at least in my books, in my setup, things work. Like, we let you come in with all the great and good ideas, but you have to learn something on the business side, because you have to apply all this latest and greatest things to business, and you should understand business a little bit. So keep yourself open, because it always helps you to learn. And don't be too much fixed. You should be fixed on what more or less you want to do, but don't be too fixed. Yeah. Is it Does it sound fair, I used to you, or not? Do you think you have a different opinion?
Yes, sir. It sounds like, anyways, I'm in a college students right now, so I don't have the experience. But yeah, we should be open to different opportunities.
Yeah. So what are you planning to do, Ayush?
Right now, it isn't decided as such, but I'm trying to learn new things because I'm in third year, so different opportunities are arising right now at the moment.
Mm. And what is the inclination? You are in which stream, if I can ask?
Computer science, computer engineering.
Computer engineering. Okay. And you have certain tendency that you want to do this, you want to study with MS, generally MBA, MS, or software
Yeah,
work for some time. What is the
yeah,
preference?
yeah. MBA, I don't think so. I'll pursue. It will mostly be masters in engineering, only computer engineering. But in which domain? Data science, AI, ML, blockchain, cyber, that I haven't decided yet.
Okay. Okay. No, great. Mark, go for it then. Yeah. So I think
Thank you, sir.
you are clear on that, and yeah, try to you're going to apply everything that you want to learn to something. Okay. So be open to that something.
Yes, sir.
Ah, think wrote something. There is nothing. What is the basic thing need to remember? Okay. Before learning anything, I think the first thing you have to remember is, uh, well, it might sound a little bit stupid. First of all, you have to remember that you're learning something. So, we as humans have been always conditioned to say, okay, now I'm ready to learn, but you built on a lot of memory. We have built on a lot of memory from school, personal memory, and so on. So when you start to learn something, you're not really learning it from scratch. You have a lot of different context and references that you want to mix together with what you're going to start to learn. Now that's going to bring in a lot of bias, because how I'm going to start to learn something versus how you're going to start to learn something, Ashwin, is going to be different, because your collective experience and your knowledge and experiences will shape how you learn. So the basic things for me to remember is to recognize that everybody will have a certain bias, that you will be having a certain bias when you start to learn some basic things. Now, the second question is, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Oh, okay. I think my speaker got connected to a Bluetooth. Oh, sorry for that. So yeah, no, I'll say that's something, yeah, that I'll always remember. And don't shy away from not unlearning something, because sometimes you have to clean the board, again, and then start again. So don't shy away from cleaning the board. You have to start from scratch. Does it answer your question, Ashwin? Is Ashwin around still, or did I scare him away now? Okay. Any other questions? Anything else? Anyone?
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
during there were few projects that didn't go well. So, how did you cope up with those projects?
The business you mean to say?
Yes, sir, like in your initial years when you started.
The initial part. Yeah.
Sorry,
So
sorry.
no problem. So the cope up part was, well, I think you just, you take the day, take the bull by the horn, day after day, you keep working, and yeah, whatever you have learned, I think reality will be a little bit different. You have to apply it to the context, to the business case, to the customer problems that you are. And I was always lucky, honestly, to have people who were supportive, and business which was not always supportive but open to test things. So the coping up of in the initial years was, I will say, whatever life or your job will throw at you, take that experience, and it's up to you to derive what you do out of it. You can be getting very fast frustrated about it. Hey, nothing is moving so fast. I want to move it so fast. It's not moving. You might lose a little bit patience, because I'm I recognize that more and more, that the patience that everyone has nowadays is not the same I have seen decades before. So hold on, take it by the day, and always take that experience what you can do about it. Because in any adverse situation there will be an opportunity, and that's why I say that I was been lucky to pushed around with projects which were red, because a lot of, well, I will say majority of the people will see that, hey, there's nothing, no hope here, there's nothing to do here, but you can take that as an opportunity and say, okay, I might fail, but yes, I'm already at the bottom of the valley. Cannot go so wrong, by trying them. So yeah, that's what I did. Just change the perspective on what the reality is, and start to handle it day by.
Okay, sir.
How much study is important in college? Honestly, I don't know. I used to study in college because I had a scholarship at stake. Okay, so I had to pay my bills. Okay, so for me, study is quite relative, honestly. But I spend a lot of time with my friends, and the relationships I had with my friends. And okay, we used to come together because they were quite some smart guys around me, good friends of mine, and. I took always the opportunity to meet them, have a good time with them. I used to play cricket with them, and yeah, on the way study happened. Now, the reason I used to study the most, in my case, and I don't can generalize it for everybody of you, was I had a scholarship at stake, and I had to pay my bills. Okay, so that was something which was very important for me personally, that to have that certain grade going, so that I could pay the bills. So that's why it was important for me that time to do it. And how to stop procrastinating while studying or learning? No, you should not stop procrastinating. It's okay to study on the last day, last minute. It does not matter when you studied it. It's important that you make it. Okay, that's what counts. So I used to study in the last weeks also. What I used to do, nevertheless, for the whole semester, used to take Xerox and create that entire thing what I have created. That was my personal strategy. Okay, everyone making notes, smart guys, everyone going everywhere. I used to collect everything. I used to spend immense amount of time collecting things, Xeroxing things, putting it together with my friends together. And study used to happen more at the end. So cannot give you any other advice. That's what I did. Okay, kind of worked for me. Shubham, does it resonate with you, or what is not? No, you're more the first venture guy who always does by the rule book everything. It's all is good, huh? Everything works, huh? Everything that works is a solution. So, so Shubham, I think Shubham, you're good, right? Anurag, again, I think I answered your question. I'm reading through. Soham, how to manage time and academics in college. I think they're a little bit related, right? Or no, not really. I don't know. So, can you explain your question a little bit now? So, I don't understand the dilemma. Are you doing other things which are more prioritized than academics? Surely, yes, I can imagine, but you're talking in which all context? Can you give me a little bit more context so I can more, let me say, answer properly, you know? If you not want to comment. So anyway, I can generalize it. I can say that look, if you have other pursuits other than academics, I will say that's also important. Do not neglect it. See what you can do and should do, because it's college is not only about academics. I used to spend a lot of time socializing in canteens, playing, and so on. For sure, academics was important. Uh, the one thing about managing time is I think even with all the chaos of Mumbai, at least where you guys are set in the setting, I think you can manage a lot of time. It's just self-discipline that you have to educate yourself in. So you can even think, or let me say, do some kind of hearing and in a bus, in a train, in travel time, and but I will say you have to kind of try to balance things, you know, a little bit as per your own schedule. But because not everybody works in the same way, some people like to level their workload throughout the semester. Some people do it at the end. Some of them are very coming in small spikes. So I think you have to find out what works best for you. And I think by third year, you kind of try to start to know, you know, what works for you better. So if you're still struggling, Uh, try something different in the sense of try to balance things a little bit more. Maybe that helps. Yeah. I don't know if I answered you, but yeah. Okay. That's good. Good. So I'm conscious on the time. We are 33 minutes past. So yeah. So maybe a little bit on the journey ahead. So at some point, I did well. There was a clash of interest in terms of how fast I wanted to run, and also culturally how I wanted to run. Because being part of the big company, having that opportunity, I said thank you, and always will appreciate that what IBM or all the big MNCs will do to you. But at some point, I decided I'm still a number. I still have a certain dream which does not completely fit in this so big of a dream where I'm not even understanding what all they are doing. So that's when, let me say, also in that life stage, I got married. So my wife was around, and then I was tossing around the same ideas with her to say, okay, we think if what if we start to do something in this direction, and that's where let me say I quit IBM, and that's where we started to. I took a Swiss employer for small period of time, but then we started our own setup. And guess what? When we started, and we had some ideas how to go about certain things. For the first almost 2 years, we were a big failure. So that's when you learn the first important lesson of your life. As let me say, a startup and so on, that 99% of the startups fail. Okay, so be prepared for failure. Now, the good news is you will have some learning of it, but better is you fail fast. Don't, if you fail for too long, you will never be able to get up. Fail very fast, get up, try something different, and then it might fly. But still, the statistics are going to work against you as a startup. You should know that. Okay, does not mean that there will be no startups in the future. There are hundreds of startups, everybody trying in this. But startups have to go somewhere. Startups after 3 to 4 years have to become something. We are still in the stage where we started up, we failed, we started again, we are good. We are not on a scale of hundreds of people. Okay, so we're at 25, 30 people kind of set up right now in 5 locations. We are in Singapore, UK, Germany, Switzerland, and India. And yeah, that's something that you have to understand and you have to see what clicks. And oh, Ashwin, you put something more. Can you explain brief different kinds of projects to me? Okay, sure. So what we started in the past was projects in the space of apps development, Android and Apple apps. So that was 2014, 13 times. That did not fly because we did put up a very nice technical codeless platform which businesses could get onboarded on. We did not have the marketing power and more the language power in the Swiss setting we are in. But nevertheless, what came out of it was something good. We got prepped up for the future things. And this is where, let me say, to know exactly what we do, Ashwini, today is we work with some of the biggest majors here in Switzerland. We work with Nestle as a FMCG company. We work with SAP. We work with Roche Pharmaceuticals, supporting them in their transformation journeys. Exactly what we do in projects is developing smart systems, AI, um, involved systems for price risk management, price forecasting, volume management, forecasting volumes for Nestle, the biggest FMCG food and beverage company on the planet, for more than 55 billion of their spend. We help Roche for integration purposes, again for drug discovery and so on. Again, Roche is headquartered in Switzerland. So most of our customers are Swiss. Well, all of our customers are Swiss. They're either commodities trading companies, FMCG companies, or IT companies like SAP and so on. So we work a lot with commodities companies, supporting them in their AI journeys, FMCG majors, and pharma companies. So that's what we do. Let me say uh, for them. Exact projects on how I gave a little bit of hint, but I'll, for confidentiality reasons, will not be able to speak in detail about exactly the project content because I'm under NDA and the whole team is because there's a lot at stake in what we do. But overall, I think you get the picture, right? Ashwini.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Then Madhav wrote a question. You get many ideas for startup. How to know which one should be given the first shot, like a priority? That's a very good question, Madhav. How to know which one to give the first shot? The only person who can tell you is you yourself and your gut feeling. Go by your gut feeling, Madhav. You will never know what is the right one until you try it. And like if you have like 3 ideas and you say, what are you most convinced about with your gut feeling? Do that. Why? Because the other ones might look good. You can always do a SWOT analysis and say, okay, this looks good. This is macro A. But you'll never know what is the best until you have tried it. That's where the backward bias question comes in. So you can always try to socialize with your friends, understand in the network, get opinions. But at the end, if you were to prioritize and to take one or the other, go with your gut feeling. That's it. Did I answer? And it might be wrong. Don't
I
get
think
me
so.
don't get me wrong to say that it will always be right. It will be wrong, and I say, so what if it was wrong? At least you tried. That was a gut feeling. You were convinced about it. You did your rational analysis, and you went about it. Yeah, you would have never known until you try it. So try it. That's what counts. Okay. So then Anurag wrote something. Is it wise decision to take risk and work on your startup idea while in college, or we have to just focus on study and developing? I think it's a good. Anurag, it's a excellent idea to to work on your startup idea. Absolutely, work on your startup idea. Now, how successful funding wise and this you will be, I don't know. It depends on the idea and the journey and so on. But to take the risk and to work on your startup idea, go for it. Should you it be the only thing you should be doing and not take up a job and be so fixed on it? That's a risk question. I personally, I can tell you in my personal situation, I was not in a situation to take the risk. I had a lot of ideas. I had also written down business plans, in my engineering, also in my MBA. I did not have the possibility to take that risk in the first time. Yeah. I had quite some financial pressures. I had some loans to pay, education loans to pay, and that was priority for me. And I said, hey, if my idea does not fly, there's a lot on the table that I'll not be able to absorb. So I did not take that risk. So it's really depending on your personal situation, and that I can recommend you to go ahead or not, but it is wise to work on it, develop it. Will you be doing it solely or not? I'll say it's on a case by case basis. But nobody stops you from doing it anyway, right? You study not for 24 hours. You study in college for like what, 8 hours, maybe plus minus, and then you have rest of your time. So what do you do with the rest of your time? For sure, you have fun and meet your friends and this, but take that opportunity to socialize things. And I tell you something good which comes out of it. Huh? Today in my setup or in our company, our group company, you'll not believe 3 or 4 or 5 or the colleagues are my batchmates. And guess what? Why? Because all the relationships which I had formed that time, the trust we had, and this that continued for a long period of time. Even 10 years, we did not speak many times, but I could pick up the phone and talk to my buddy in my engineering and say, hey, Avdut, hey, how are you? What have you been doing? I don't know. Can you give me a hand? I never got to know. And all the basis of it is the relationship that you'll build. So it's a stage of your lifetime. You might think, yeah, let's be so focused and look at the next steps, but don't miss out on the networking, your own friends that you have today in your college. Okay, because 10 years down the line you might call back and tell them that, hey, I need a help, and they will. And it will all depend, the response will, you can judge the response yourself. If they say time nahi hai abhi, kya kar rahe ho, theek hai, nahi dekhte hain, then you have your answer yourself. That's exactly how people will feel to work with you or respond to you. Okay, so take care of that. Okay, Anurag, did I answer your question? Yeah, good. Akshita wrote, how to manage funding for startups? That's a good question. Huh? Question is, yep. So the worst case situation is you don't have funds, and how to manage funding. So you can go about it in different ways. So first is family, friends. That's something, people who believe in you, your idea. That will be the easiest thing, Akshita, to do. To approach them. That, hey, I have this idea. I want to start small. This is my plan. This is how I will go about it. That can be a very simple, straightforward way to go about it. Now, the moment you will start to be on a scale which is very big, you have possibility from venture capitalists or seed fund money or these incubators to fund your idea. Okay. So it's absolutely possible that you can go to an incubator program where they groom you, your idea, bring it to a certain level, and fund it. Scale it up. So there are different ways to go about it, but be very clear that when you are working with money, which is from a venture capitalist, there is a certain expectation on return. With also with family and friends, they would like to see you succeed in this, but don't forget it later. And if you don't have both the possibilities, I say the next best thing is earn it and then fund your startup. That's what I did. Okay, earn it, earned it, and then funded my own startup in a very small way. And built on it from a very small, well, almost 1-2 person team. So that's how we did it. But you have all the possibilities. It really depends in on how big your idea is, how big you want to go in the first step. There's a lot of opportunities and options out there, but they all come with a certain uh, implication which you, know, you should be aware of. Yeah. Did I answer your question, Akshita? Is it
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
okay? Good. So I guess that's good. I think I honestly on apart from that, yeah, that's a little bit the journey we have been in, and it's quite an exciting journey for us now. Yeah, it is exciting, but you have to go through some grilling years, and it's still grilling on many fronts because you keep learning a lot, and you have to learn to live with a little bit of uncertainty. I don't know if you enjoy it or not, but you have to ask yourself that I'm comfortable. Does uncertainty make you uncomfortable? And that is something a lot of people enjoy, some of people don't enjoy. They want it like so fixed. I want my life to happen like this. I'm going to be this. What if I tell you that tomorrow 90% of your day's calendar cannot be planned? 80% of what life will throw at you did not even expect. That is what something that you will start to understand, and you will start to appreciate every day, that you cannot plan things, and things are not in your control because there are other variables at play. You can try to organize, have an overview, have touch points, but a lot of things will not be in your control. You should be comfortable with that uncertainty. If you are the kind of person and you have a nature which is not used to uncertainty, you might have not the best time as dealing with these things, because yeah, so that's what you have to be prepared for a little bit. It will be my advice to self uh, reflect a little bit. Look at yourself and say, okay, do I feel comfortable with uncertainty? That's something that you can self analyze. Good. So I am good. Especially Ashwini, is there a specific area you would like me to touch? Is there something which might be helpful for you guys to that I speak through? I can focus. It's the last 10 minutes. It's up to you to say, or you can also say like, now I bored you enough for 50 minutes. Yeah, we can close the call. Like you prefer, guys. Huh?
Hello,
So
sir.
what
Sorry, Sumit, you want to say something?
My question was that you traveled so many countries. So how did you manage to sync with the cultures and the work system of those countries?
That's good. I always, whenever I travel to a country, I was so open. I said, you know what? Yes, I'm Indian. I have my food habits, everything. I'm going to learn this culture. I'm going to stay with the people, roam in the normal markets with the normal people, and start to absorb a little bit how the country takes, what are their customs and so on. So every time you go to a new country with a suitcase, you're like, okay, let me see how things work here. How is the political system? But more, what is the system on the ground? What are the markets which are happening? What is the cultural events which are happening? What are people speaking? Where are people meeting? And you always have opportunities from your work colleagues, and if you have a certain relationship with them, they'll always bring you in and want you, and they see that you're interested. So I always was interested, and that's how I always try to gel in with the local culture. Many times, not all colleagues were quite interested, but you'll always find the right ones. So I'll say try to absorb the culture, not by doing the touristy things, but being a local. Go with the locals. Yeah, you will absorb it faster. That's what I did.
Thank you, sir.
Marlon wrote something. So migrating versus staying back India, what would you consider a better option? There's no better option, Marlon. It has pros and cons to it. Huh? So if you stay back in India, you will have a certain comfortable situation, and you might not realize and appreciate it today, but your family and folks are nearby, friends are around. And it can be positive or negative, like you want to see it, but it's a big positive that you're around with your family. Moving out, yes, you're thrown in on cold water, new culture, new language, new system. And if you're excited and would like to take it as a challenge, yes, then it is like that. Some people get bogged down with so much newness that they cannot take it. And I have had colleagues and friends who could not take it for 2 days, even. So I don't know what kind of person Malon you are and what is the better option. So I really don't know. It really depends on you. What you appreciate, what you don't. But if you don't know and want to find out, make make a few experiences, and then you will kind of start to derive and understand if you like it or not. So that's what I can tell you. I hope I'm not giving political answers, but I'm telling you like I think, Malan. I really don't have an answer. What is better? Does it resonate with you, or you are now more confused before than before? Did we lose Malon now? Okay. You can ask later, Ashwini, what Malon thinks after this, and you let me know later.
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay.
Any more questions, Vidhi?
Sir, do you have any regrets, or do you think there was something you could have done in a different manner, or there's something you look back and think like, okay, I could have done this in a different way, or maybe if I get another chance to do it, I would do it in a different way. So, is there anything in your life?
I honestly not really, not really. I could have maybe I reframe your question a little bit. So I don't have regrets because I sleep very good every day. And I said, okay, to the best of my knowledge, understanding, this is what I could do. But yeah, means you start to reflect back and you say, oh, I could have done this better, faster, and so on. So no regrets for sure that I should have done. I consider myself very lucky, honestly, with everything, family wise and whatever life has thrown at me. So I consider myself a really, really lucky person uh, in everything. In terms of regrets, or I could have done better, maybe I'm growing a little bit old now, but if you were to ask me to take the same journey again, I would be a little bit myself looking like, should I even be taking it? In many respects, because some of the things that we started when we did not have the knowledge and did completely, let me say, brutally working against us. And you start to see things with time, in a different perspective, and then you can always look back, and this is where I have a problem with looking back for regrets, because this is exactly what you call in computer science backward bias, or in psychology backward bias. You can always look back and say this could have been done better, smarter, this was right, he was wrong, this could have been like this. So the backward bias we as humans and species have is extremely high, and this is where I keep my backward biases as backward biases, not as regrets. This is just a backward bias. The more important thing to look at, Akshita, is always the forward bias, because that's something very few people will have and give you. What is it at stake that you should be doing today that is going to shape something for the future, knowing that nobody knows, and you still have to take a decision. And this is what you guys are in that situation, right? You still have to make some decisions. They might not be the right decisions, and you'll change your decisions, and that is exciting. You will also have after some time a backward bias. Oh, अभी fourth year हो गया, अभी third fifth started work, अरे ये करना चाहिए था पहले engineering में. The same question you can ask yourself, like first 2 years engineering में क्या करना चाहिए था, how was it, could have been different, is the same kind of question that you reflect on as backward bias, to say, okay, I could have done XYZ better in first year, second year, and I would have been so and so. But I say, yeah, it's just backward bias. Forward bias is something which is quite interesting to analyze, and you will never know until you look back. So by looking back, if you say, do I have regrets? No, I have some biases on things. Yes, could have done in a certain way. Will I be doing it in a different way if I were to do it again? I will say maybe yes, but you have to recognize then I know it already, and that's always the chicken and egg problem. If you know it already, then why should I done it like that? It's like saying if you were to go through your first year engineering, after your third year engineering, you would say, "हाँ, वो तो मेरे को ऐसा करना चाहिए था." I know for sure how it will work. Yeah. Akshita, did I ruin your question now?
No, 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 sir. No.
Huh? Okay.
So,
One is joining with his mobile, and I see you once, but now you switch off
so,
your camera.
so would it be easy, like, to after a few years, your family settling in India and you settling in US, or you settling outside? So, like, what would you recommend? Your family to come after you, or you going back to India?
So my family stays with me. I have two kids, 6-year-old and 8-year-old. They're all in Switzerland with me. Some of the prime decisions are family stays with you. What is more important, your job or your family? Answer that question for
Family,
yourself. So you have your answer.
maybe family, or maybe self growth.
It's up to you. What is important for you? You have to answer that question. So what is important for you, son? Are you married right now?
No, student.
You cannot answer that question. Okay. So yeah, I think at this point you can debate what is better, but
Yes, sir.
I think I'll put family first. Okay, and whatever that decision takes you, do that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good. Uh, Karthik wrote something. A skill that we should start learning from now, second year, according to the technology we have. Our match with graduate. My question, Ka. So, what are you learning right now, Karthik? Means, can I know, like, what is everybody teaching you? Putting in between your years nowadays, there in third year, second year. Which skills are you working on, having now, or working on, or have an ambition for? Not yet something interesting. Oh, this is. Are you saying indirectly that there's nothing interesting going on in your college? Then I think there is scope for improvement. No, okay. So nothing interesting. So you have to first work to find what is that interesting. And your question is, what is that interesting? For you, I cannot recommend what is that interesting. If you are saying where the market will be 2025, 26, I will say India will be a good place to be. And will it be AI or not? And all this area, I'll say definitely yes, it will be there, and there will be dimensions to it. Absolutely. So I will take a little bit of a contrarian approach to say AI and this you will learn anyway, in your job skills or later. So have that handle on things that you are a little bit appraised of what's going on, but try to build some skill which interests you. When you say not yet something interesting, the more important question I'll have is what interests you, Karthik, and then devote some time and energy doing that. Might be in the curriculum or not in the curriculum. Try to do that. Yeah, if you're asking from a very job and this perspective, yeah, do what everyone else is doing around, and you cannot be so wrong. Not get. But if you like something, if you like, I don't know, cooking, if you like to paint something, if you like to do something which is very specific, develop it. Cannot like to learn a language. Mm. That's something I can tell you, a skill which will help you. Try to learn a language in your 2 years of engineering. I missed on it big time. In MBA, I did learn German, but I missed on it big time in engineering. Looking back to say, nobody told me, hey, learn a language. I will tell you guys, learn a language. Yeah. Learn German if you have an appetite for Europe. Learn Spanish for South America. Learn French for Africa and Canada. Learn a language. Yeah, it always help you survive in different parts of the world. I know we are 2 minutes over. Any other question?
So since we are talking about learning a skill, whenever we are learning a skill, there's a point where you reach a, you reach a point where you're you drop interest and then you start losing your disinterest by learning that. Sorry for
What
the
what
same question.
what happened? When did this happen to you? Like in which area?
So start of this year only you can say. I tried learning something that was supposed to be a part of the syllabus itself, but then over time interest drops and then don't feel like doing it anymore.
Did you have a good, inspiring teacher, or why did you lose that interest?
So teacher and all is good, but then you just get bored because the tough questions start, and then once you can't do it, then it gets
Okay.
irritating a bit.
Okay. When it gets tough, you kind of, yeah, it's like a big cafe over. Yeah, Marlon, I understand. So I think it's not going to be easy anyway, whatever you do. So you can choose to develop your skill only until a certain level. Until you feel bored, then you switch the skill. It's also fine. Then you have a lot of skills which you know something about, but not everything about. So you are like floating like this, which is also a good thing. Huh? Don't get me wrong. But if you're the kind of guy who's going to stick on and go to the depth of things, then it's also good. So I say, if you're the kind of guy who just goes to the point and says, I drop interest, switch to something else, then you will again grow up, drop interest, switch to the next one. Then after 10 skills, you will just realize you know 10 different things, but you know nothing in detail. And I say, so what, Marlon? You still know 10 things, a little bit, which is fine.
Yeah, so that.
Or not? Do you have a different understanding or reading? I say, yeah. And I can say, hey, no, do one thing in deep, but anyway, you're getting bored. Huh? What's the point?
Yeah, so that only is a this doubt, like jack of trades, master of none kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Jack of all trades.
that's okay. It's okay. You're not in a life stage where you're gonna rest of your 35 years you're gonna do the same thing. Huh? Forget that. Rest of the 35 years you're gonna do electronics engineering or whatever, computer science. Forget that. Huh? You're not gonna do that. You're not even gonna do that maybe for a decade more. So be very clear on that. So keep learning whatever it is.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good, good. Any other questions? Should I focus more on studies or more on extracurricular program in second year? Good college in US for masters. Once you are a very clear guy, you want to go to the US, you want to do your masters, and what should you focus on? I will say extracurricular, co-curricular activities in the second year. Just make sure that you pass, and you don't get your KTs.
Excuse me, sir, you are not audible.
Can you hear me now, Sumit? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Audible, right? So once asked the question, what should you focus on? I say study enough that you don't flunk or get your KTs. But if you want to secure a good college in the US for masters, I think you are clear. So focus on the extracurricular and co-curricular activities, but just don't drop your studies that you flunk. That's what I'll say.
Sir, that you mean that it's no need to score like a 9.9 CGPA and stuff, and do not participate in like events. Do participate much in events, like in order to score very like insanely good marks, 9.9 CGPA, like that.
Yeah, look, that's going to count because you are in a certain race, right? So your CGPA and all this is going to count. Later,
Like
you
what
will
is important? If I score CGPA around 8 or 9 and also participate in events, if that is good, or
it depends on the US university you're applying for. A lot of universities give a lot of importance to academics. A lot of them give importance to co-curricular. So if you're clear on which university in the US you're applying for, or a little bit more sorted out, because out of 10, 6 of them will focus on the academics, 4 of them will focus on extracurriculars. So there's no right answer there. Huh? But if you zero down to say that, hey, I have an interest and this is the MS courses which kind of interest me, and you tailor it back accordingly. But this is something which I call backward engineering. But the more important part is, what do you enjoy more? Extracurricular, co-curricular, or your studies? It's up to you. You have the answer on that, right? If you say no, I'm the guy who likes to study and deep dive, then go for it. If you say no, I do want to balance it a little bit.
so, but is 8 CGPA okay, right? If you score 8 around 8.5,
Yeah.
take 2 years.
Don't nail me later in a university. You get a reject. You said, hey, this is the guy. In September, he was giving a lecture for 1 hour. He told me not to do this. No, don't nail me on that.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So honestly, balance it, but I cannot give you the magic recipe. You have to figure it out yourself. Huh? Brutally honest to you. There's no one answer. There's no one university.
Does anyone else has anything else to ask?
Okay. If not, then I say thank you to all, and thanks for bearing up with me for an hour plus now. So, yeah.
Yes, so now I would like to thank Mr. Mohit Maheshwari sir for connecting with us today and sharing his motivational story with us. So your story has enlightened and motivated all of us immensely. The industry insight given by you will definitely help all of us in future. I thank you once again for all the guidance and advice. Everyone, please check the chat box for the feedback form, and just know that certificates will be given only to those who fill out the form. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you so much, Mohit sir. Thanks a lot.
Take care, and have fun. Huh? Don't stop having fun.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
sir.
Bye.